What's good, y'all? It's your boy, Thurg. Trilogies are a gaming family tradition. You will usually hear a lot about legendary trilogies such as the Super Mario Bros. Trilogy, which looks different depending what region you're in, the Donkey Kong Country Trilogy, the God of War Trilogy, the Mass Effect Trilogy, the OG Halo Trilogy, the classic Crash Bandicoot and Spyro trilogies, the Arkham trilogy, and yada yada yada. How come I don't see any love shown for the Victory Kai trilogy though? Kid Cool on the NES, Psycho Fox on the SEGA Master System, and Magical Hat no Butobi Taibo Daiboken, I hope I said that right, on the Mega Drive, or the game that we're going to be talking about today, Decap starring Chuck the Head for the Sega Genesis, make up what many people refer to as the Victory Kai trilogy. Now you're probably wondering, how can it be a trilogy if I just named 4 games instead of 3? And that's because Decap is basically the Western version of Magical Hat no Butobi Taibo Daiboken. Magical Hat no Butobi Taibo Daiboken is based off the anime Magical Hat. In 1990, Victory Kai Corporation released Magical Hat no Butobi Taibo Daiboken. You know what? Screw it. This name is a freaking mouthful, man. You know what? For the sake of this review and for sake of my sanity and my lungs, we're gonna call this game the Magical Hat game. There, simple, done. Over in Japan, but couldn't port to the West since they couldn't get the license for the Magical Hat series outside of Japan. So they decided to pull a Doki Doki Panic in Super Mario Bros. 2 and repurpose their Magical Hat game into Decap starring Chuck the Head for the West. So they replaced all of the Magical Hat characters with their own, changed up the layouts of the stages, and created a brand new soundtrack for their new game. So, should this spooky localization of the Magical Hat series have ever headed to the West? Or should I have been chucked in sorry, I'm trying to get my D right, trash? Look, man, let's go make like a shovel and go dig into his review. Sorry, guys, I'm gonna try to keep the puns to a bare minimum. I am so sorry for that. The evil Max Decap. Ha! Get it? Decap? And his army of goons have pulled up from the underworld to wreak havoc and take over the world. So it's up to Dr. Frankenstein. Ha! Get it? Frankenstein? Okay, guys, I'm sorry, that's enough. His assistant Igor's newest creation, Chuck the Head, to save the day. Max Decap and his army of pricks have separated the islands while trying to take over the world. So as Chuck, you must go through each island, piece them back together, and then defeat Shrek's derpy orange cousin at the end of the game. Really? Y'all just went with Igor? I know it's reticent, but y'all could have called him something like, I don't know, Dr. No-Neck since he's built like Mike Wazowski. Or you could have just added an E at the end of his name and called him Igor with an E, since you know the game is horror themed. Okay, sorry guys, my bad, I got on a tangent again. Let's just get back to the review. Decap was a pretty good looking game for its era. While the graphics aren't mind-blowing like the Vector Man and Sonic games, the zany and cartoony art direction does a superb job at making Chuck the Head's world feel alive. No pun intended. I really love the character designs in this game. Each and every character has a distinct and memorable look to them. And I know this is cliched to say, boy oh boy, Decap sure makes you feel like you're in a Nicktoon from the 90s. As great as a system as this bad boy was, the Sega Genesis was infamous for having an inferior soundboard to the Super Nintendo. Like a lot of times, a lot of Sega Genesis games had like worse sounding music compared to like Super Nintendo games. Like if you take like if you were to take the Mortal Kombat version, like the Super Nintendo's version of Mortal Kombat, and compare it to the Sega Genesis one, the music is way superior on the Super Nintendo version. But just as our headless mummy friend Chuck, composers Fumito Tamiyama and Hiroto Kano, I hope I said those right, certainly did a fantastic job despite the handicaps. Decap Attack certainly has some head-rattling bangers, with my personal favorites being, sorry, these songs don't really have names since they get reused a lot in the game, so I'll just call them what Kuja 45 OST, by the way, drop a subscribe to this dude, he's the MVP, named them, and then play out some samples of it so you can get a taste of some of these spooky jams. Okay, here's a song I can actually name. The title screen song. The sound direction, on the other hand, is absolutely atrocious. The skid noise makes me want to scrape my eyeballs with a cheese grater. The lava sound is just so overbearing and obnoxious. Like, who came up with this mess? Some of the potions, which I'll get to later, have been accompanied by these loud beats that make it feel like I'm breaking into a parked car. Like, holy freaking cow, man. Who made these sound effects for this freaking game? Like, oh my goodness, I know we're controlling a lab experiment, but you don't have to torture us like one. The goal of Decap Attack is simple. Just get Chuck the Head to the end of each level, you know, basic platformer stuff, except for the boss stage in which you must first find one of Dr. Frankenstein's hidden items and then defeat one of Max Decap's evil generals. Wait a minute! How did this stuff even end up all over the islands anyways? He's just Dr. Frankenstein is just a scientist that just stays in his laboratory and makes creepy like laboratory stuff. How did he lose his stuff then? Like, how is any of this stuff even going to help me out? How is reading going to help me defeat the king of the underworld? What am I going to do? Bore him to death? Pun totally intended. Reading aside, Decap Attack has a refreshing simplicity to it. And you should probably be able to beat this game probably under 2 hours, probably. The main gimmick of Decap Attack is the skull head that Chuck can use as a weapon. Grab this bad boy and the headless Chuck can throw him like a projectile at his enemies. And he will also automatically return to Chuck like a boomerang. The delay in the skull is actually pretty genius. If the skull was to return to you really quickly, that would make it an overtuned weapon. The delay actually causes you to think about when and where you throw this skull at. You also have many potions that grant you multiple abilities throughout your adventure. The orange potion strengthens and extends your attack, which I guess is now a good time to talk about how he attacks. Chuck does this like weird move in which he hits enemies with the face that's located on his torso. I'm not even sure if he's biting them or kissing them. I don't know. Beats me. I guess that means that the orange potion allows you to kiss your enemies from far away? This potion isn't really too useful, especially the like strengthening aspect, because most enemies die in one hit anyway, so why would you need your attack strengthened? The double red flask allows you to run faster and jump higher. And this one is awesome because the more momentum that Chuck builds up, the higher he can jump. And with this potion, you can cheese a lot of the stages. This one was easily my favorite. The green potion freezes any enemies on the screen for 10 seconds. This potion comes in clutch for when you just do not feel like dealing with enemies. Because trust me, there will be a lot of times that you just say screw it and run by them. The yellow potion allows Chuck the Head to like shoot this little like power ball. I don't know, to me it reminds me of Super Vegeta's Big Bang attack, but hey, that's just me. This potion can only be used on bosses, and trust me, it's just so clunky. Opening up the potion menu, picking the potion, closing the potion menu, and then praying to God that the power ball just hits the boss. The blue potion grants you temporary immunity to all enemies for 10 seconds, which is temporary, but not a solid solution to the game's biggest problem. Which, trust me, I'ma touch on that one soon. Finally, the red potion makes you, the player, want to vomit all over your television. Because good freaking goodness, this one is so disorienting. This potion kills all the enemies on the screen for 10 seconds, but it's not even worth it. Like, it feels like I just got hit with like freaking Itachi Uchiha's Genjutsu. Never, I mean never in your life use this potion. I'm trying to save your eyeballs. Chuck also has a neat little glide move that is a blast to use, but it just seems so random to see a mummy gliding. Until you remember that this game is an altered reskin of Magical Hat the game. The protagonist of Magical Hat at least had a cape, so gliding for him is at least plausible, but Chuck just looks like he really has to pee really badly. Look, despite all the cool things going for Decap Attack, this game has some serious issues, man. For one, the enemy placement in this game is just so freaking awful. They place enemies in like these really weird areas, so if it's your first time playing through the game, or you haven't played this game in a while like I haven't, you're not going to be able to react to them. They're just going to like blindside you. You're going to get hit by them. And I went through a lot of cheap deaths because I just was running through the stage, and then an enemy was magically there, and I got killed by them. I was 50 years old and I played this on my PSP. This was like a while. So of course I'm not going to be able to remember where every little monster is. Whereas the Sonic the Hedgehog games handle momentum wonderfully, Decap Attack does not. It takes a little too long for Chuck the Head to build up momentum, which makes dodging attacks really difficult at times. Chuck is either moving too slow or moving too fast. No in between. The best way to survive in this game is by taking your time, moving slowly and meticulously through each stage, so that you don't get blindsided by monsters. But Chuck is just not built for slow-paced gaming, like slow-paced platforming like Mario, Kirby, and Ristar are. Speaking of getting blindsided, even breaking open statues for power-ups is a 50-50 chance of getting hurt, since a ghost can just hide inside it like he's Solid Snake. This may sound like a neat little challenge at first, but it can get really frustrating when you really need another heart, which is Chuck's health in the game, and then BAMO! You're dead. Chuck's traction on the ground is so dreadful. If you want to run the opposite direction to avoid harm, you're just out of luck. You're just gonna get hit. It's like Chuck has gum on the bottom of his feet, man. Good grief. Even his main face attack can be a little inconsistent at times. Another odd thing is that you're run on falling platforms, but when you die, those platforms don't respond. That means that instead of remaining consistent throughout each life, the stage technically becomes more and more difficult the more you lose, which is just really odd game design. This part is really irritating. But Chuck even has a moment when he's stuck on a ledge and makes a funny face instead of getting off the ledge. Look, man, Decap Attack is not a bad game, but boy does it have some serious flaws at times. This game is just so close to being a masterpiece, of being like a really great game, but it's just bogged down by Chuck's odd movements and the game's terrible enemy placements. For a reskin of another game, I do have to commend the effort that was put into crafting Chuck's Behead's world, even if there were a lot of mistakes made. Look, to be honest guys, I would honestly just recommend this game if you just want another Genesis platformer to like play. But the Genesis is already home to so many like great, fantastic platformers that it's hard to really call this like I really can't. It's not like a game that is really a must play, if I'm being honest. I personally also like one thing I really want Sega to do that I doubt they're going to do it. I think this franchise has a lot of potential, and I really think that this could be a really great franchise if Sega would invest more into it. It's like it has really creative characters, and I think like honestly, if you were to get like the people that did the Decap Attack comic like series, if you were to get those guys, have them write the story for the new game, they do a really killer job on that comic back in the 90s. Like if you were to do that and just fix the issues of the original Decap Attack, you have a really great platforming series on your hands. I would love to see the Mummy come back, man, but unfortunately, Chuck is just destined to just rot away in the Sega vault with all the other underutilized Sega characters. Wait, ha, get it? I said rot away because he's a mummy? Okay, I'll see my way out. Hey, I really appreciate you awesome people checking out my channel. It truly means the world to me. If you like what you saw and heard, check out the other channel that I'm a part of called The Weekend Showcase. There you get to hear me and my fellow goofballs go on about video games, movies, cartoons, comics, and all sorts of nerdy stuff. Pretty dope actually. Oh yeah! There's also a sock puppet show in one of the episodes. I think you'll like it.